Have you ever felt that you carry something different inside you? Something that the world does not understand, but that the enemy recognizes? It's not an exaggeration. There are people who, just by waking up, already disturb hell. And perhaps without realizing it, you are one of them. We live in times where everything seems upside down. But there are people who remain steadfast, who choose the truth, even when everything around screams the opposite. These people do not follow the crowd. They follow the call, and that's why they are dangerous to the darkness. They are not super believers, nor are they perfect. They are human, but with a living faith, a real dedication, and a light that does not go out. And the devil knows, when a chosen one awakens, nothing can stop them. That's when the war begins, and also the victory. If your life has been harder since you decided to walk with God, that is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of purpose. Those who do not represent a threat to hell are not attacked, but those who shine disturb, and those who disturb are observed. Today you will get to know the 7 types of chosen ones that the devil does not touch. 7 spiritual profiles that carry a strength that hell cannot contain. And maybe you see yourself here. Perhaps you finally understand why there are so many struggles. But before anything else, I ask you one thing. Follow the channel now. Here you will find messages that confront, strengthen, and awaken. If you are one of the chosen, you will need these truths to remain standing. What lives in holiness? Holiness is not about perfection. It is about separation. It is a constant choice to walk against what pollutes the soul. The chosen one understands that purity is not religiosity. It is spiritual responsibility. They take care of their mind, heart, and actions, not to impress, but to remain firm in the presence of God, where there is life. Living in holiness is a daily, silent, yet real battle. It is saying no when everything around screams yes. It is turning off the screen, turning away, stepping out of conversations and environments that do not align with the purpose. This does not make anyone better, only more conscious. The chosen one does not consider themselves pure. They just know they need to stay clean. And the chosen one who lives in holiness does not carry heavy burdens of guilt. They know they fail, that they are human, but they do not live in the mud. They fall, rise, and continue with more strength. The difference lies in sincere repentance. They do not play with mistakes. They address, learn from, and change. This earns them respect in the spiritual world. Satan does not fear those who speak beautifully. He fears those who live what they preach. The light of holiness disturbs the darkness. It is like a siren in the dark. It exposes, reveals, cleanses. The enemy flees because he knows that the presence of God is there. The saint does not need to shout, threaten, or pound their chest. Their life already carries enough authority to silence evil. Holiness is also protection. Those who live clean before God have sharper discernment. The chosen one perceives traps before they form. They sense in their spirit when something does not come from God. This does not make them paranoid, but vigilant. Their sensitivity saves them from wrong relationships, deceptive proposals, and dangerous shortcuts that could destroy them without their noticing. Those who walk this path are generally not popular. They are not always understood. They may even be the subject of jokes, rejected, excluded. But they do not compromise their principles for acceptance. The strength of the saint is in the root, not in the appearance. They prefer God's approval over the applause of men. This firmness makes them unbeatable, even if they walk alone. Holiness is reflected in the eyes, in the words, in the choices. The chosen one may not even notice, but they carry a different atmosphere. People feel touched, uncomfortable, or impacted around them. It is not them. It is the presence that goes with them. This opens doors in the spiritual world. This closes gaps against the enemy. This reveals the hand of God. It is not an easy life, but it is a light life. The weight of guilt does not exist. The mind has peace. The heart has direction. When they pray, they feel. When they read the word, they understand. When they go to war, they win. The saint has direct access to heaven, not by merit, but by covenant, and hell knows this very well. If you feel that God has been calling you to this place, do not run away. He does not want to trap you. He wants to free you. He does not want to shame you. He wants to prepare you. Holiness is not a prison. It is protection. It is the environment where purpose flourishes, where the Spirit breathes, and where the enemy cannot touch. It is there that the chosen one resides. The one who prays and heaven responds. Prayer is the place where the chosen one gets replenished. They do not speak for the sake of speaking, nor do they repeat empty words. The heart is involved in every word. For them, praying is more than a habit. It is survival. When they pray, something changes inside. The weight lifts, the mind clears, and the spirit aligns with God's will. They do not see prayer as a last resort, but as a first reaction. When something presses down, they do not run to people. They run to God. There in secret, they find answers that no one would give. They hear directions that do not appear on social media. It is in that sacred silence that they understand what to do, where to go, and what to avoid. Those who have a life of prayer develop intimacy with the Father. It is not a distant or religious relationship. It is like talking to a faithful friend. They do not hide pain, nor do they pretend to be strong. They lay everything on the altar. And the incredible thing is that, even without seeing with natural eyes, they feel when heaven moves in their favor. The warrior who prays understands that the battle is not won by the strength of the arm. They do not depend on arguments, shouting, or influence. Their power is in the spiritual. While many talk too much and act too little, they silence the world and kneel. It is there that they win wars that never came to happen in the natural. The enemy tries to silence those who pray because he knows the damage that person causes in hell. When the chosen one talks to God, walls fall, traps dissolve, and chains break. Hell cannot bind those who converse with heaven. This is the chosen one's secret weapon. They do not fight alone. They pray with faith. This type of prayer does not depend on the environment. They pray in their room, at work, on the street, in thought, or out loud. Any place becomes an altar. The important thing is the commitment. God does not just hear the sound, He hears the sincerity, and when He sees a surrendered heart, He acts with power. The chosen one knows this and does not stop. Prayer changes the atmosphere around. Sometimes, nothing has changed outwardly, but everything has already been transformed within. Peace returns, fear departs, and courage grows. The chosen one understands that the answer does not always come quickly, but it always comes. And even in God's silence, they trust, because praying is more about believing than feeling. Those who have a life of prayer also learn to listen. They do not speak endlessly. They listen, wait, discern. Their heart becomes more sensitive to the voice of the Spirit, and as a result, their decisions are more accurate, their steps surer. God speaks with those who are willing to hear, and the chosen one is always attentive to heaven's direction. If you feel this call to live in prayer, do not delay any longer. Start with sincerity. It does not need to be beautiful or rehearsed. It just needs to be real. Talk to God as you are, where you are. He listens, and when you realize it, you will already be living a guided, strengthened, and protected life. because those who pray are never alone. The one who makes the secret is strength. Prayer is where the chosen one reconnects with their essence. They do not speak out of obligation, nor do they seek to repeat ready-made phrases. When they pray, they pour out their soul with truth. They know that God does not demand performance. He demands surrender. It is in the secret that they vent, seek direction, and find the peace that the world cannot offer. The chosen one does not pray only when in crisis. They pray because they need God even when everything seems fine. Their heart has understood that dependence is not weakness, it is wisdom. They communicate with heaven anywhere, while driving, walking, crying. Praying has become a part of them, not just a moment of the day. There is no specific environment. Any space transforms into an altar when the soul is sincere. They know that prayer is more about presence than about words. Sometimes they enter anxious and leave in peace. Other times they enter strong and leave broken. But they always leave different, because something in the invisible moves with their prayer. This life of prayer generates authority. It is not about having many words. It is about having intimacy. The chosen one does not need to prove their faith. Their presence carries a different peace. Their voice has weight, not because it imposes, but because it comes from a place of deep connection with God. This makes them spiritually respected. Praying strengthens them to resist what the world offers. They do not rely on their own strength. They learn to listen before acting, to wait before deciding. This sensitivity was built in the secret. While others run to opinions, they run to their knees. And it is in this place that they find secure answers and direction. Even on days when everything seems silent, they pray. Even without feeling anything, they continue. They have learned that faith is not emotion, it is constancy. God honors those who seek, even when there is no immediate return. And over time, they reap visible fruits of what they planted in silence, tears, and persevering prayer. Prayer also protects their mind. They feel when something is wrong, perceive the presence of evil, and discern situations before they become problems. Prayer sharpens their spiritual perception. They are not guided by appearance, but by what they feel in the spirit. This frees them from traps disguised as opportunities. They pray not only for themselves, but for others. They are intercessors, even in silence. They lift people in prayer when they themselves cannot. Heaven listens, hell retreats, and lives are transformed by this practice. This is the impact of those who make prayer a solid foundation, not an emergency resource. If you feel this call, do not ignore it. Start as you are. God does not require perfection. He desires relationship. Speak as one speaks to a father who listens to everything, and you will realize that the secret is not loneliness. It is preparation. Those who live in this place are always one step ahead because they have direction from above. The one who knows who they are in the kingdom. When someone discovers who they are in God, everything changes. The way of thinking changes. The way of reacting changes. This type of person does not live running after acceptance because they have already understood that heaven recognizes them. Knowing their spiritual identity places a weight of authority that the natural world cannot comprehend or control. The chosen one who understands their spiritual identity does not sell themselves for crumbs. They do not exchange their essence for approval. They may be rejected by many, but they know they are loved by the one who matters most. This conviction protects them from manipulations, comparisons, and the fear of being who God called them to be. They walk with firmness, not because they think they are better, but because they know where they came from and where they are going. They do not get lost in identity crises. Their foundation is spiritual, not emotional. They understand that they are a child, an heir, a temple of the Spirit. And because of this, their decisions reflect this understanding, with honor, faith, and truth. This type of person does not live for appearances. They do not need to pretend to be strong when they are tired, nor hide their pain to seem invincible. They are transparent because they are secure. They do not fear the judgment of men, for they know their approval comes from above, and this makes them spiritually shielded. Hell cannot deceive someone who knows who they are. The enemy may try to confuse, accuse, and lie, but nothing gets through when identity is anchored. The chosen one responds with the truth. They do not fight with words. They fight with awareness. They position themselves without arrogance, and this makes them a threat wherever they are. Spiritual identity brings purpose. They do not live aimlessly. Everything they do has a greater meaning. They understand that they carry a mission. They do not get distracted with trivialities. They do not waste time trying to be what they are not. They know that they have been set apart, called, and empowered. And they live as one who carries something from heaven within themselves. This certainty spreads. Wherever they step, they inspire. Those who associate with them feel awakened. It is not speech. It is an example. They activate the faith of others just by existing. Because those who live with identity free others. And those who are free point out paths. Their conviction opens the eyes of those still trapped in doubt. Firmness does not make them insensitive. On the contrary, they understand the pain of others because they have already overcome many internal battles. And this makes them an instrument of healing. They listen, embrace, and counsel. And when they speak, there is weight in their words. Not because they shout, but because there is truth and experience in what they carry. Those who know their spiritual identity also know their limits. They do not try to do everything, be everything, or prove everything. They move within what they have been called to do. And that is enough. They do not envy, do not copy, do not compete. They celebrate the victories of others because they know that theirs does not depend on comparison, but on obedience to their own calling. If you are still searching for your identity, know that it is in God, not in what others have said about you. Start by asking the Creator who you are. He will show you clearly. And when you discover this, fear will fall, insecurity will vanish, and you will walk with the authority of one who knows. You are a child of the King, the one who knows who they are before God. When someone discovers who they are before God, they stop living to impress others. They no longer need compliments, likes, or approval to feel valuable. Their identity is anchored in heaven. And this makes them freer, more steadfast, and much harder to manipulate. This type of person does not live for appearances. They may be simple on the outside, but inside they carry authority. They know they have been set apart for a purpose, and because of this, their decisions have weight. They live with purpose because they understand that their origin is not in this world, but comes directly from the heart of God. Those who walk with this awareness do not get lost in comparison. They do not try to be another person, because they know that their value lies in being exactly who God called them to be. They do not live competing or seeking attention. They live in peace. And this peace protects them from distractions that cause others to stray from the path. Hell does not easily deceive someone who knows their identity. When doubt tries to approach, they remember, I am a child. This truth is an invisible wall that keeps them standing. Even on difficult days, they do not forget who they are. This firmness closes gaps and makes them strong in any environment. Those with a firm spiritual identity inspire others effortlessly. They do not need to prove anything. Their presence speaks. Their posture shows firmness. People feel challenged to grow just by being near them. They do not judge, but they also do not hide. They are a reference because they live authentically, without masks and without fear of being light. This security prevents them from accepting just anything. They do not enter just anywhere. They do not accept any invitation. They ask first. They pray first. They understand that their value requires care. They do not mix with what contaminates, because they know they carry something holy. And those who carry something holy live with responsibility. Even when no one recognizes them, they keep going, because they do not do it to be seen. They live to obey, and that is freedom. They move not by external expectation, but by internal conviction. They may walk alone, but they never feel lonely, because those who know who they are know with whom they walk, and it is with God. If you still do not understand who you are in God, seek this first. When your identity is firm, nothing will bring you down. Not criticism, not losses, not fears. You will walk with your feet on the ground and your heart aligned with heaven. And when that happens, everything around you starts to align as well. The one who does not negotiate their surrender. There is a type of chosen one that hell truly fears. It is not the most eloquent nor the most visible. It is the one who, when God calls, answers yes, even knowing the cost. They do not live a comfortable faith. They live with surrender. And when everyone else retreats, they continue, even if alone. This type of person does not serve God only on good days. They remain even when they lose, when it hurts, when heaven seems silent. What sustains them is not what they feel, but what they believe. And this firm faith, even in difficult times, makes them practically unattainable by the pressures of the world. This courage comes from certainty. They know who called them. They know who sustains them. And because of this, they do not give up. Even if the walk takes them to deserts, to rejection, or to days without answers, they remain faithful, because their faith is not based on quick results, but on continuous obedience. Those who are willing to pay the price do not seek an easy path. They seek the right path. And no matter how narrow the road, they follow, because they know that the reward is not in the hands of men, but in the hands of God. And He always honors those who remain steadfast until the end. The world does not understand this type of person. People ask, "Why don't you give up?" And the answer is in the Spirit. The call is greater than the losses. The presence of God is worth more than any temporary gain. That is why they continue, with pain if necessary. But they continue. This type of surrender moves heaven and paralyzes hell, because the enemy knows he cannot corrupt someone who has already given everything. He tries with fear, he tries with deceit, he tries with seduction. But nothing works, because the heart is already on the altar. It has already been surrendered. It is already sealed in faithfulness. If you feel that God is calling you to something greater, be ready to pay the price. It will not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Because those who say yes with truth carry a power that the world does not understand, and a courage that hell cannot break. What no longer belongs to this world. There is a type of chosen one who lives differently. They no longer seek applause, likes, or anyone's approval. Their heart is no longer bound by the rules of this world. They have died to themselves, to pride, to ego. And because of this, they live with freedom. And this freedom confuses the system. They do not move by status. They do not need a stage or recognition. They have understood that everything visible is temporary. Their motivation comes from above. They have chosen to live with their eyes fixed on eternity. And because of this, they are not easily manipulated. They do not sell themselves for anything that shines here. This person has already overcome the vanity of the soul. They do not need to prove anything. They do not need to be the best, the most admired, or the most heard. They live to please God, not to be accepted by the crowd. And this posture makes them a direct threat to the structures of pride that the world has created. These 7 types of chosen ones are not special on the outside. They are transformed on the inside. Simple people who made firm choices. They decided to live differently when it would have been easier to conform. They chose to walk with God, even when it cost them everything. And because of this, they carry a type of authority that hell recognizes. If you identified with any of these profiles, or felt something that awakened you, do not ignore it. You may be among those who have been set apart for something greater. The world may not see it yet, but heaven already knows, and hell has already noticed. Because the true chosen one does not need to be seen. They need to take a stand.